Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I am in WarThunder, and I had purchased the AH-64A Peten, which is an Israeli AH-64A Apache. It's $49.99, and I know it sounds like a lot, and technically I think it is. I don't know that it's worth $49.99, but there are a couple advantages to picking this up, and I'll go through that later. But it's fun, and there is no other Apache. So before anybody goes, that's not a simulation, that's a game, you're right. But they do a lot of things to make it very simulation-like. So this is your basic unobstructed view. I'm able to use my track IR. You can hear the audio panning around as I move my head, which is awesome. So I could do a lot from this view, but I'm going to switch. This is my external view. Really nice. I'm just using my track IR to pan around right now. Now, I also have the mouse set up for it, so I could use the mouse as well. And you can also set up the mouse to see the little square box and then the Roman numeral I in the front. The I is the fixed sight for the rockets. And then the little box is what the gunner uses to pan around and put that on targets to shoot the guns. However, it's a little wonky, I guess would be the word. If I were to change my controls, I'm using full real controls right now, so if I were to change this to mouse aim, now, you see what's happening? The whole helicopter is moving, and it's counterintuitive to be fighting what you're aiming with the mouse with what you're doing with the stick. So I'm moving the stick right now, and then my pedals to do this, so it just becomes a really confusing scenario control-wise that is probably better suited for like an Xbox or a PlayStation controller. And remember, this is a game that can be played cross-platform between an Xbox, a PlayStation, and PlayStation 4 and the PC. So I get it. I get why they did this. But this is very difficult. And I'm shooting the guns. And externally, for some reason, you can't hear the guns being shot. You see it, though. You hear it stop for a second, which is really weird. So we're going to go back. We're going to go back to the controls, and we're going to turn that shit off. View. Use that for view only. Okay. Now we're back to the way it should be. And externally, it's a beautiful model. They did a fantastic job. These guys really don't do a bad job with their 3D models and the detail that they put into them. Looks every bit as good. I've been sitting here too long, so it's going to start me over. Looks every bit as good as most any other simulation I've ever seen. So that's your external. Here is the gunner's seat. From this seat, if you have it set up to use the mouse, now I can use the mouse to, target things and shoot with the guns. And now I can hear the guns too. This is what I'm going to call the tactical view, and this is where I shoot Hellfires from, or what they call air-to-ground missiles. This is my virtual cockpit view. Now the controls are a different story altogether too. There's a number of ways you could possibly control this thing. I sat too long again. If you sit too long, it restarts the whole thing over again. Okay, so I'm in full real controls, and this thing's just wonky and wants to go all over the place. But if I hit the H key, I got my dampening system turned on now, which makes this a lot better. I'm going to go, again, H key, and it's going to change it to automatic leveling, stability augmentation system. I'm going to hit it again, and I'm going to go into a hover. And once you're in a hover, I have another control set up that controls the collective a little bit, because the regular collective will do nothing for me now. See, I hit my hat switch up, I can go up a little bit, I can go down a little bit and keep going at -1 speed up or down. So I'm just going to set this to 0, and I should be in a hover now. I'm going to look around the cockpit. This cockpit is absolutely nothing to write home about. It doesn't even look realistic. But it is what it is. Like I said, cockpit is placeholder, it says over here on the bottom. I'm going to go to that gunner's position again, and you can look around. The gunner's cockpit is nothing to write home about either. The cockpits are garbage, to be honest. So let's go into this mode. So this is what I'm going to call the... I'm still moving a little bit. Hold on. Now it says 146 at 0. Now it says 145. We are holding. I'm moving it about 1 kilometer forward. Good enough for a hover. So I'm going to go into what I'm calling the tactical mode. So it's really hard. I'm using the mouse at this point to slew this around. You could try to set this up on something else, but it seems the mouse seems to be the best bet. I have the little device that's on my TWCS. I could use that if I wanted to, but it's just easier to use the mouse. So this is really difficult at this point to maneuver and keep stable. See, I could do this and then hit my guns, and it's going to fire the guns, but they have a stability system set up. So I'm going to do this, and now it moves independently from what the helicopter's doing. And I can zoom in with my track IR by pushing my head forward. I'm going to lock this guy up, zoom back out, and fire. Boom. Let's move to the next guy. I'm going to lock him up and fire. Boom. Here, I can just pick the gunner and shoot with the gun. It's not completely accurate at this range, but usually you end up hitting something. This range isn't ideal. So again, lock them up, fire away. And you got to keep the laser on it the entire time. Because if you move it, I'm pretty sure it's going to move this guy, see? Even though I have that target designated. Like I said, the avionics and the weapon systems aren't, 1000% what they should be. But keep in mind, it is the only Apache in the game at this point. Well, let me rephrase that. Not the only Apache in this game, because technically they have an AH-64A American and they have an AH-64D American as well, US choppers. But for some reason, they decided to give people the premium one as a Israeli chopper, which I don't understand. See, now I'm out of air-to-ground missiles. It's going to take a minute before I get more. So let's change my augmentation mode to dampening. I'm going to creep forward. Reset my track IR a little. So for me, this cockpit is a little obstructive. But it's probably going to be the easiest way for me to try to shoot rockets even. Definitely short. I hit it. There we go. There's somebody else over this way too, I thought. There we go. And I was just manually keeping that over top of the target. But as I was getting to before about the controls, let me get us into a hover again. If we go back into here, so you got full reel controls. With it, you get the SAS mode, which is the different augmented hover assists. Under realistic, you don't have that. It doesn't make any sense why you wouldn't have that. Simplified controls, you have a hover mode, but when you press the hover mode in simplified, hold on, I'm still dropping here. So if I hit that, it doesn't tell me anything at the bottom of the screen like the other one does. It just puts me into a hover mode, which is cool. Then turn it off, then turn it on. But I don't get a cue down here at the bottom left-hand side on the outside of the cockpit. Like when I'm in realistic mode, it tells me at the bottom of the screen which augmented stability or dampening or whatever mode that I'm in. So it's a little confusing. And I'm not seeing, except for full reel controls, I don't see a huge difference between simplified and realistic either. You know what I mean? Other than one doesn't have any of the hover modes. And then, you know, full reel has the augmented system. So someone can correct me on this. I haven't had, you know, a week to spend with this to figure all this out. But what time I've spent with it, this is as far as I've gotten to be able to have fun with it and fly it and kill things. And again, the way this is set up, you could use a gamepad to do this, you know, but with the HOTAS, it's a little bit challenging, for sure. The Apache is fun, and it's very cool, and I'm digging it. And WarThunder's a blast, too. It really is. There are different modifications you can get for this, but it looks like they pretty much give you all of them. So this has the infrared countermeasures, but I can install flares if I wanted to use them as well. And this one has a tailsman, so it allows me to gain 100% extra RP when controlling the vehicle. I can choose the different weapon systems if I wanted to. I can go, you know... Why does it bring that up? There we go. No, it still does it. It's really hard to see the rest of the weapons. Okay, Stingers. I can go Stinger. I can go Stinger Hydra. I can go Hellfire and Stinger. Hellfire... 16 Hellfires, go 8 Hellfires, and Hydras. So it's got a variety of different weapon systems you can take up, which are pretty cool. I kind of go with the Hellfires and the Hydras most of the time. So I guess the big test now is going to be getting in there and deploying it on the battlefield. And that's the only other thing that stinks about this is since I took it off of my roster down here, because if I choose this is a 10.0 battle rated vehicle. All my other tanks are 1.7s. So if I go into a battle and put that helicopter in here, which I can, when I go into the battle it's going to rate me based on that chopper. So it's a 10.0. So I'm going to go against Abrams and Leopards and all the modern stuff, and then have these shitty World War II tanks, which I get completely decimated and annihilated in, and the only thing good that I have to fly in is the Apache, and I'm not that good in it yet, in the full-on combat scenario with moving targets yet. So, a little bit more of a challenge with the laser-guided Hellfires on a moving target. So anyways, that is the AH-64A Peten, and this is WarThunder, and it is a premium vehicle. It's $49.99 at the moment. I don't think it was worth the whole $50. I think for $25 it would have been reasonable, but it is what it is. And I'm not going to, you know, worry about that at this point. Am I having fun with it? Yes. I'm learning it, getting the hang of it. Controls are a little bit weird. It's going to take some time to figure out these controls, especially if you're used to simulations where, you know, you just jump in and it handles like a real helicopter. This mimics a real helicopter. I would say this is more on par with Arma 3 in terms of helicopter control. Only better because I can't control the helicopters in Arma 3 worth a shit. And in this, at least I'm able to fly this and, stabilize it and shoot stuff and fly again and move around and, not completely wreck it every time I get into it. So it's a learning experience. But that is the AH-64A Peten for WarThunder. And as always, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. Feel free to hit that like button. And until next time, guys.